Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. This is going to be part of WCG 2009 US Finals. Once again, we have Louder going up against Artosis. This is the second set, I think. I actually don't have all the replays from all of the matches, so I'm kind of having to guess and check here. So if Artosis wins this match, we know he took it. I'm not sure if these are in order. I'm not sure if there was a second set played in between these two, and this is the third set, so we'll just kind of work with it. More trash talking continuing between Louder and Artosis. Artosis starting in the upper right-hand corner is the green Terran 5 o'clock position. We have Louder as the orange protoss, and this is going to be on Tau Cross, which is a very difficult map for Louder. Because Artosis, well, first of all, he's admitted that his late game execution versus Terran is not the best, and that tends to be where he lacks in all of his matchups. And these bridges make it absolutely brutal for any Protoss movement or execution across the mid game. It's just very beneficial for a Turtle Terran, which is Artosis' preferred style of play. When he doesn't have a game plan, that's what he falls back on. And actually, I think that's the difference between this year and last year. Is last year it just seemed like he was going into games and trying to wing it, and this year it looks like he has determined plans going into each match, and I think he just plays at a much higher level when that's the case. And guaranteeing a win here, you did STFU from Artosis. I really like this maneuver right here. He's going to check for proxies from Louder. Louder is not one of those guys who always cheeses, but he is known as one of the more creative guys that's capable of cheese. He's not quite off the wall like G5 is, but he has said multiple times that his playstyle is very similar to G5's, sending out that probe scout. Let's see if it goes directly into Artosis' base. Barracks being constructed here inside base from Artosis, not sealing off his front door, so might be somewhat vulnerable to early pressure here. Let's see how Louder decides to respond to it, also taking his gas right off the bat. So it looks like he's going to go for a standard mech opening. An interesting pattern. Usually I expect the probe to kind of come along that southern edge, maybe to avoid SCV scouts. Maybe that's actually the proper scouting pattern. I just haven't seen Telcross in a while. But that probe turning around, and it is going to scout this upper right hand corner and check out Artosis' base right off the bat. Let's see how Artosis is going to respond. It looks like right now Artosis already calling that he's going to be early pressured with another 10-15 gate, which is a very popular build on this map because, again, you don't have that 1/3 miss chance to work with. Louder promising that it will be 3-gate Dragoon right off the bat. Let's see what he's up to, though, in the base. He's already got his cybernetics core planted. He's just bordering on 15 to plant. It looks like he's actually got this probe in the queue, and he plants another pylon instead, so it looks like he's going to go for a little bit more of an economical game, at least as far as the early game opening here. Artosis planting that first factory, and it looks like he still has a couple SCV on gas. Pulling off now, it looks like perhaps just for upgrades or maybe just for Louder's benefit, trying to throw him off and maybe put more SCVs on gas once that probe gets in view again. But right now, doing a lot of damage to that SCV, and 3 SCVs coming out to deal with this single probe, so nice little harassment there. That's a pretty big victory. Artosis attempting to do the same along that gas line, but this is where Louder really excels in LAN tournament settings. He's very good at multitasking. He really picks up his game altogether in that regard, and it looks like that probe's still at a decent amount of health, getting chased by another SCV, and also having Artosis pull that one SCV off gas. That might hurt him a little bit later on. Let's see if that factory is planting fairly quickly. He's already got that first Marine produced. I think Artosis might be well off just going for kind of that 6 Marine push if he is worried about early Dragoon pressure. Right now he's not, though, because he's already gotten that scout in base. He's seeing that early range upgrade. He's got that first gateway. He doesn't know what's going to happen as soon as this SCV is killed out in the field. Louder, it looks like he got a good look at the amount of Marines being produced. I think he saw 2 Marines there. Definitely saw this machine shop, so he knows he's going up against at least a single factory. I think what he's expecting is maybe either a fake expansion where Artosis puts on some early pressure, tries to deny Louder his expansion early, or maybe expecting just that single expansion tank siege protective mode. Usually I think it's better off to go for a fake expansion on this map just to make sure you don't have to worry again about that early pressure. But Artosis has options open. He already knows that Louder is going for more of an economic opening, so it'd really be kind of a bonus. And it looks like he is going to go for a fake expansion, upgrading mines right here, sending another SCV scout. Looks like underneath that southern route. And this is again where I'm kind of used to seeing the scouts go along. Going to send it along the interior, and this is absolutely devastating. It looks like Louder actually is going a single gate into expansion. Wow! So playing very risky opening. He's got to play extremely defensively as a result, and he was hoping to deny SCV scouts as they were coming out, but instead looks like this SCV is going to sneak right in. 1 Dragoon already taking a decent amount of damage. It looks like these Marines to the front, and Louder cannot afford that. He needs to try to conserve his troops as much as possible. An interesting play here from Artosis. Artosis actually going with a 5 Marine Marine single tank push, wow, it's one less, so it's going to actually speed up his command center a little bit, but he knows because of that early nexus from Lauder that he can execute this and have a lot of success. All Lauder can do is run, and I'm surprised Artosis actually isn't kind of turning around and maybe going for that nexus, maybe having that SCV alongside to plant a bunker even. 3 Dragoons now gathering up. And Lauder is really going to have to micro this precisely, because with that Vulture, wow, Artosis right after the army, this is almost, it really, really wants to kill these Dragoons. A little bit scattered. Fortunately, Lauder has his healthy Dragoon out in the front to kind of work it. 2 mines being planted underneath the bush to make them little mischance. Beautiful micro by Lauder right there. He had that additional Dragoon coming in, able to hit it from the south, able to, I think he actually, no, I don't think he took damage from that mine. I think that was just flat damage. And now Artosis not able to put on any additional pressure and actually needs to turn around and play a little bit more defensively. Losing a lot of troops there, needs to get out some additional tanks. Now planning down a second factory. Looks like Lauder does have 3 gateways pumping, continuing with Dragoons, but looks like an SCV scout just chilling in here, getting a pretty good look at everything going on, just going to decide to attack the cybernetics core. Might be a little bit worried about counter pressure here from Lauder, but at the very least he'll be able to see it as it comes forward. He's got a couple mines in the way, and Lauder, if he was going to put on that additional pressure, would have to worry basically about hopping over those mines. Those mines very difficult to deal with just Dragoon micro. Otherwise, a second tank finally out in the field, which will provide a little bit of defense. Units now being transferred. This is going to put Artosis in a little bit of an economic lead. He's still behind because Lauder had that expansion up so quickly. Lauder actually coming out, checking for mines here. You can see that little Dragoon dance, wondering if a Vulture planted anything there. So it looks like he's thinking about taking an early third base. And we do have a Vulture to the north that might be able to scout this off. So Artosis is actually doing really on-the-ball scouting here, anticipating Lauder's moves. And this could put him ahead in the match as a whole. Really playing, I would say, at a really nice anticipation skills between the two. And actually, I would say these guys probably have the most games at each other just because they've been rivals for such a long time, very friendly rivals, and I think they enjoy playing against each other quite a bit here. So it looks like that Vulture is going to be wandering down. It is going to see that additional expansion. Let's see how Artosis decides to respond at the moment. He's just got his siege tanks, got his Vultures out. Let's see if he starts up his third command center, if he's going to put down some additional factories. Looks like he's getting his engineering bay, which I'm a little bit surprised by, because he knows after that third expansion that Reaver Tech is going to be somewhat delayed. Looks like the observatory being built. So he's got a bit of time before he really needs to worry about the shuttle, but getting it ahead a little bit early. Perhaps he started that actually before he spotted that additional expansion. Also getting an academy down a little earlier with the comsat than I was expecting. Maybe worried about DTs as a follow-up. But putting down 2 additional factories now. Looks like he's starting his third command center and planning on playing an economic catch-up game, making sure he stays even bases with Lauder and therefore stays in a really good situation. And honestly, as long as he has Vultures out here into the mid-game, he's going to play pretty well, because these bases are so vulnerable to Vulture harass. You can see Lauder already has a lot of Dragoons out in position, try to intercept the Vultures as they come. But this is a lot of territory to try to cover against even a few Vultures can kind of slide through, get a couple probe kills, and since they're such cheap units, that's really beneficial. Even here you can see a good group of 6 Vultures sliding right into the main, and that's not that heavy a cost for Artosis to produce right now. It looks like instead he's going a little bit more tank heavy, a little bit more concerned about protecting his 9 o'clock expansion than putting on some harass against Lauder. And I think that actually might be a mistake. I think he would be better off going in for a harass against these 3 bases than otherwise. It looks like Lauder bringing up this observer because he is concerned about those Vultures starting to sneak out, and he wants to be able to anticipate them as they're moving out in the field, getting that observer right on the front door. He's going to be able to see what the defenses look like as well, and seeing that it's a little bit troop lighter than he was expecting, he's also catching the expansion right there. Let's see if he decides to move his Dragoons up and go into more of an attack position. This is classic Artosis. Rather than putting on the pressure, going for more of a defensive style, now getting in position to get some turrets up at the forward position, play again that standard turtle style on Tau Cross, which can benefit him in the late game. Let's see if he's already got his army building here in the background. I see some additional supply depots. Not seeing that armory, which I was kind of expecting to see to get the quick weapons upgrades. The Dragoons now moving into position to try to deal with it. Looks like 1 Dragoon ate a mine. Actually, these 2 Dragoons ate mines, and they're already kind of hanging out in position, waiting for this command center to float down. Let's see if Artosis is going to immediately follow this up by producing. Yeah, he's got a couple Vultures here already in production. A couple more floating out, and with these Dragoons out of position, that is really going to open up attacks across the other fields. He's got an empty shuttle actually here wandering up, and I think this is just kind of a posturing maneuver. He's kind of trying to fake, oh yeah, I've got stuff here, so you better keep your units back, and that's forcing these vultures to actually stay at home base and plant the mines. Let's see if they wander off now, or if they're just going to try to push these dragoons out at the 9 o'clock position. See what Lauder's up to in the meantime. He's got a couple gateways. Looks like he's going to switch up to Arbiter Tech. Already has the Citadel of Adun planted. This is a difficult map. He's got a forge, actually, trying to get that forge up before those vultures start moving out. A couple zealots here in the mix, and now the dragoons try to engage in the front field. This is actually really nice in placement for